When I went to Papua New Guinea and had the privilege of serving as a translator, I took my job as a translator very, very seriously. It was my goal to produce the most accurate and faithful translation that I possibly could for the Lamogai people. But the more I got into it, the more I realized that faithfulness and accuracy in translation may not be exactly what I had previously thought it to be. Many of the standards that I had heard proposed for faithfulness and accuracy in Bible translation really are based on English grammatical features that are non-existent in the Lamogai language and in many other languages around the world too. So if those standards really are God's universal standards, then the Lamogai language is inherently deficient. It's automatically disqualified from ever having a truly faithful and accurate translation of the Scriptures. A lot of people talk about word-for-word Bible translation, and sometimes it's been suggested that word-for-word translation is more faithful, that it's more accurate. Of course, anyone who has spent time in doing Bible translation realizes that it's impossible to consistently follow a strategy of word-for-word translation, whether translating into English or any other language. And the very most literal versions that we have in English are not consistently word-for-word translations. And there are some places, sometimes, when the notably non-literal versions actually end up being more literal than the versions that are thought to be literal. An example would be, in English, sometimes we say that someone is warm-hearted. Well, if we were going to translate warm-hearted literally into Lamogai, it does translate straight across. They would say Antoi ne ngil. The problem is, in Lamogai, warm-hearted means angry. So if the translator literally translates word for word warm-hearted from English into Lamogai, has he been a faithful translator or an unfaithful translator? Well, obviously an unfaithful one. He has corrupted the meaning. Warm-hearted translating into Lamogai, meaning angry, that is not a faithful translation, even though it is very much a word-for-word translation. Now that doesn't mean that word-for-word translation is never faithful and accurate. Sometimes it is, but it is not a true statement to say that word-for-word translation means increased faithfulness or increased accuracy. In this book, I give many examples, hundreds and hundreds of examples of actual verses translated into English and also into Lamogai and some other languages, because I really want to raise the light level of the average English-speaking Christian, the average English-speaking Bible reader, to more clearly understand what translation really is. I think that as people have a clearer picture of what translation is, they will be a lot less dogmatic, because a lot of the discussions, especially some of the heated discussions, really are based on a limited understanding of what translation really is.